Hello everyone, Kurt Olfer here and welcome to a Hoferica Lab special. This video is going to showcase some of the footage that I was able to do a few weeks ago at the Chicago Swordplay Guild. I was invited in to run a range as well as combat intensives, which was a part of a greater discussion in this training event of the drawing of the sword. And in both those capacities right here, one of the big things that people were talking about was looking at the historicity, the stress factors, as well as the form and necessary objects and applications to produce the weapon in time. So this is really about two portions. The stuff that you're going to see here is really just my stuff that I put out there, and it involves a lot of like how I run training and whatnot, and some of the situational things that we were doing there for different kind of concepts. Okay. The other portion of the training, the first portion, was run by Greg Mele, who was talking to us specifically about images that we see within history, which tied directly into some of the notions that we see within Fiore's manuscripts. We see a variety of different things right here. I mean, you see the combination, like different ways of gripping on the sword, 6 dissimilar guards, the sword in one hand, and the application from that. So we get to look at that, not just from a Fiore perspective, but from an Italian tradition of martial arts, but potentially in the school of thought of Fiore. So we had that right there that we looked at first, and then he took us through the motions and movements of drawing the sword and showing how we produce in different ways. I was very fortunate to be able to assist in this. I was very grateful for the opportunity to do that. And then on top of that, Greg allowed me to teach a portion right here where we ran combat intensives, which test a lot of the foundational skills that were run just a couple days before, as well as hold a range, which puts into context some sharp work that happens with it. And we're going to talk about that all at the end right here. But for right now, I just want to get to the meat of it all. This video here is going to be broken down to those areas right here. You'll see a lot of discussion. You'll see some footage. But this is more about, once again, talking about some of the things we have in the greater notion of the drawing of the sword and deploying arms under stress. So with that being the case here, before I get too long into the yammering, I'll let the video do that for me. And let's see what we see.
So to begin this, what we're going to warm up right here, as we can find space, we're going to practice basic generalized movements of the sword in one hand and allow ourselves to use all the body practices, okay? So stand up, make sure again you have your stuff spaced out. We assume the role of that position of the sword in one hand. Now, from this right here, we're just going to focus first and foremost on feeling this position and allowing ourselves to roll the sword, just to roll. And see how automatic right here puts the sword up. The volta stabe allows us to turn and we can pop up. Just allowing that roll right here. It's not about tactics, it's about getting one with your side. Whether you have a side sword or anything else like this, it doesn't matter. And again, not forward. We're not having a fencing match here. I personally think Fiore's doing this because he's optimizing for defense and max power punishment. Okay? So all this right here is lying at bevel point of wrist. Warming up. Okay. And allowing that second foot to come into the turn so we redress our forces. The rat right here, as we do it, basic scheme of maneuver, is that the person in the middle is going to know where their first attack is coming from, and the person that's running the event is going to count everybody else off. Now, the person in the middle, if this is 1, I know that's coming this way, so I know that's coming, right? But maybe he's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? They are moving. So I might have looked over and say, Jesse's 9, right? Or, you're 2, right? The reality is in that, once they start moving, it doesn't matter if you can keep track of count. It's whether you can find the person. So, the first person may be him, he just comes in nice and slow with this right here. I come in with this, all we're doing is that colpo fendente. From here I play off, I kill him, and go back. And now it's my turn to look here and use my volta to find who's coming next. So that elephant must be stable. That tower must be strong. And that parapet must be armed with archers. Those are your senses, your visimento, right? At no point do you strike someone in the back of the head. If I see it, you're done. Okay? So in this case right here, case in point, if he's the deck, say he's 2, and he's moved around to this spot, the strike came in, boom, I see him right here, I hit the person, And now he waits till the person in control says, go, right? And I'm looking, and Jesse comes right here. It's enough to just say right here, hold, right? So for this right here, make sure you have the space. And what we'll do here is this. I'm going to count it off. So the person in the middle is always going to know who one is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When I say go, you're going to go in and perform the one Fendente strike. He will cover off that, perform a killing action, and allow you to get out to the outside. And then that's where he is going to start looking, because everyone else, as soon as I say go, is going to circle Jesse. You're hunting him. So if I'm on the outside, right? No one move. I'm just going to get demonstrational purposes. If I'm number 9, call go. He goes in. Go. I'm doing this right here. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to find a way here. He kills him. He goes out. Now he goes back to circling, and Jesse is looking for the next person that's coming. Make sense?
Yep. Yes.
Rapid acquisition targeting. This is why we have to learn. Those volts to do more than just throwing and killing. They find the target first. Ready? Go. Move. Move around, people. Move around. I didn't say go.
Okay, keep going, sir. Keep going.
Go. Yep, good. Go. 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 Oh, good. There you go. Nice shot. Great control. That's why we have one shot. Keep going. Keep moving. Keep moving. Move. Move your feet. Hunt him. Go.
Oh, 7.
Remember your number. See who's the person there. Use your Visamento. These are great lessons why some of those samurai movies are accurate. Go. Good. Keep moving. Move your feet. Move your feet. Go. Good. Go. 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 Dead. Good. Go. 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 And go. Seize arms. Swords down. Excellent work. So here's the deal. At this range, you do 21 foot. The person on this side right here for this demonstrational purpose is here. No. You don't get to do that. This person on this side has got the sword ready. The first phase of this is a walk. In which case, and in that space, he's going to pick his time to draw. The purpose of this drill is not to say I have it out right here. We're not fencing. This is more about the concept of, and we're not quick drawing. That's not the point here. This is how we create stress. So in many shooting ranges, people will make their targets go like this, then turn towards and come this way, and then be able to produce in this. So this is the same thing. So at this point, just for demonstration purposes, as I stand here in one of those 2-bit pantaloon positions, right, I walk first. You will, as we talk about, come back, draw, and we're just doing this. What is my only blow?
Down.
Colpo fendente on the Mandrito side, right? So I'm here, nice and slow, because I'm not actually armed for this. So, the person with the range calls go. And we'll say go. Okay. to walk. Now for somebody, now off of that, ask someone does the same walk, and now you can finish doing the same things that we just did out here. Okay? Ready up? Go. Remember, being here on that draw is possible. But just like here, the whole point of this right here is knowing how long it takes to produce. This is why I said know your movement. If you're like this the entire time, you don't know your movement. Because as we accelerate this drill into the next phase, which is a jog, and then a sprint, and finally into an assault for those that want that, if you don't know your time and distance right here, you might draw too late or fumble. So the point right here is to test that foundation. I'm here. I have nothing. Fine. Step back, turn up. The walk is supposed to be stressful. We crawl, walk, run. That makes sense? So don't sit there and be like, yo, I'm Yo Jimbo. It's not the point right here. I'm not going to sit there and Clint Eastwood this. This is not talking about if I'm in the street, because here's the reality. If you see me in a street like this right here at you, your first impulse is pull, right? You're here, right? Now we're in a fencing situation. This drill is not about that. This drill is under duress. Can you do the movement? Fine, pull up, turn. The reason why they're closing is to add that, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. When we think about what Greg ran us through on Thursday, right? The reality is it's probably more like this. The walking gives us time. So don't sit there and turn this into a fencing match. That's not what this is. That's a totally different tactical conversation. This is about you on the end right here. Can you find your arms? Can you produce your arms in a meaningful way that's covering? And can you cover and then turn into somebody? Okay? This is where the person on the other side, say you fail. Say you go here and you're like, oh shit, right? Stop. Okay. Lessons learned. Yep. Stop. Again, please hear me. For the stages that go beyond the walk and the jog, if you don't want to participate, don't. Because this turns into, don't draw me, but I'll give you the stimuli. But here's the reality. Violence isn't necessarily seen, right? The last stage of this, so you have an idea, so you can start thinking, do I want to partake in this? It's very simply, ah! If you've ever had someone do that to you, and you're like, yeah, I draw. You've never had something, that's why we call it the thump test. That's a thump. That's the last stage for those that should they wish to experience that, you are welcome to. If you opt not to and just want to work with the walk, if you just want to watch, please hear me. This is supposed to be stressful. This is supposed to make you wonder, shit, could I make it happen? That's the intent of this drill. Not can I close the line, can I preserve my life and use this drill?
Sir.
Cool. This next phase, again, this is by choice and choice alone. The person that is going to be online, that's facing down this way, well again, give this person the choice of what is the option. Walk, jog, run, or assault. In the assault, if you're doing that, it is a run while you are screaming at them. In this situation here, this is as much about understanding how the person that is doing the assaulting may experience how they start to zero in because you start to scream. There's a reason why the Marine Corps, and I think other services, teach war cries. It's because of what it does and how it makes you go forward. Okay? So that means in this practice, it is very important to be aware of that. As you're screaming, if you choose to have that stimuli, you may feel the adrenaline kick up from that. Because who has ever heard that if you're screaming at somebody, who you're screaming at? Yourself too. Yeah. So you're getting double on that. What do you think happens to this?
Blood pressure goes up, it's going in.
So this is where we have to have a visimento on this. This is a great level of understanding this. Take the time to put yourself in the third person like what Jesse was talking about. This is a great time to be like, as I'm screaming, wow, I feel really high as hell right now. This is a great time to look at that, to look inward. Okay? Who here has also noticed, started to see the wisdom of this guard, how this is a lot easier to maintain as I'm running at somebody.
It
Right?
balances a lot better.
It balances, right? So if I'm running at Mark, this is a lot easier to do this. And if I don't do something right off the bat, it's also easy for if he starts going for his sword.
I'm a lefty today.
Oh, that's true, right? So to shoot the spot right there in between and hit him a spot that makes this work. We're not doing thrust today. That's another tactical conversation. That's another rat in the drill for this. For today, it's just if you want to go to the assault, you have the option. For today, because I know that this is a first time experience, I'm going to ask that the assault team, once you get to the line, take one healthy step back. Just for today, because you might be very surprised if they choose to say assault, take 1/2 step back, or one good accrescimento back. Okay. If they want to have one of the other three, then stay on the line.
Momentum, the assault is coming in, are we still making that?
You're still doing the same play. The reality here is this, again, for the assaultee, if the person can't get it out, don't brain them.
Yeah.
This is, again, like earlier, this hurts. Okay? So, and again, you don't want to break their hand.
We all gotta walk away.
This is why I said if you want to have the lead hand be something hard case, have your off hand be light, because coming up this with a hard one to someone's elbow is just as bad. Okay, there's ways to do this right here that we can benefit from. Are there any questions?
Even if the dead run screaming, we still want to slow down and not crash into our...
The idea is not to crash into them. That's, again, that is yet another rap and drill that I have for people. Yes, because that is absolutely part of this, in my opinion. You either hit them, and as I've bitten into this right here, I'm going to slam into you right here, because what I want here is I want you on the ground. I'm not going to BJJ you, but I'm going to run through you, stop, and do everything else that's necessary in there, okay? Thank you. You know, don't slow, keep that shot. Also, you have to pull it because they're not out. Have that if it's mental.
For our war cry, should we keep it all consistent to just a kind of noise? It could be words.
I don't care. I would say, so here's the thing, I would probably advise not words, because we don't necessarily want people to think there's something bad happening back here.
Yeah.
You got neighbors? That's all residential. Don't curse. That's all I ask.
Okay? Keep that in mind here, and if they get told to stop, that's fine. We don't have to do that. But again, don't. When we do this right here, we're in a park. We have some spectators like, what the hell is going on? And we will have people say, I'm going to kill you. You know, it's a very different thing when you have those things thrown at you. It's funny here, but it was in that one moment, and they're looking at you, it's a very different feelings, okay? So, I'll be quick, what you got, sir?
If you're receiving an assault, at what point can you begin to draw?
That's why we've been trying to figure that out the entire time. Here's the deal. The whole point of receiving that is, when that happens, you may experience, this is what I experience. Sometimes I'm like this, because I feel like this whole shutter down because someone's screaming. Everyone's voice is different. It may be the same thing. Maybe you don't experience that. But the whole point right here is, the whole point is, it's not seen as a drawing to do this. The point is to do the same thing. Utilize any undirected pursuits. That's the point of the drill. Not as the person's coming out here, right? Now we're in narrow play. I'm not going to play here. I'm going to go to Chicago. Why? Because I'm in narrow play. I'm going to deny that. You want to crash into me? You're going to eat it. Right? So for here, this is about, can I up as fast as possible? Excellent question. Thank you. By the way, you're not going to be able to be like, when can I? It's not going to happen. If you're looking like this is 2 feet away, it's just not going to happen. If you're looking here, you're not looking at that. Right?
It's a feeling.
Yeah.
It really is.
We'll find it together.
Yeah.
At the ready! Advance! Alright, switch.
So let's talk about what we're feeling out. So what was this like?
Fun.
Fun. Excellent. I'm glad it's fun. What else?
I got to build sense of urgency.
You build your own sense of urgency. Excellent.
Propounding on that sense of urgency, for me at least, increases focus, which I find useful, but you have to learn how to use focus to be as optimal as you can. What I mean specifically by that is getting your draw at the right time. Because if you over-focus, you're going to be overstimulated, you're not going to get your draw. If you're not focused enough, you're going to do it at the wrong time.
Excellent.
Or else, I found it to be a really good process check system.
Very much so.
Acquire scabbard, acquire grip, evaluate target, fire weapon.
I mean, to me, I think that's exactly what any of these people in time, how we teach assess threat, stabilize stance, find, produce, fire, right? I'm not advocating for firearms. I'm just simply saying that any practitioner of arms of any history, deploying arms is something that had to have to be known.
Right.
Right? So the fundamentals are the same. The principalities are the same. Xander's Bastards have this big one. You go, yes, because it is the same, right? I walk him out there with a crossbow and I was like, but my 21-foot rule is very different right now, right? I better be careful to preview, be able to swing that thing off to the side and get myself in the right spot, right? What else? What else do people got?
Like balancing patience and panic. Draw time and then actually following through after squat.
Isn't it amazing how much panic and patience become the same blade? You walk on the edge of awareness and you either panic into freeze or over-response, or you're patient into the right response. It is so hard to tread that because am I panicking right now? Am I patient? Oh my God, I'm thinking, right? Excellent observation. Here's your answer.
Familiarity with your own kit. I'm the only person in the class this applies to, but complex hilt, a weird sort of suspension system, all of this complicates your draw response, so you need to familiarize with how long it takes for you to deal with this particular system.
Right? Right? And this is one of the reasons, so what did we find out about really long swords, really short swords?
Longer swords are hard to draw.
Longer swords are hard to draw, right? So one thing I know when I'm using with my Albion Mercenary or my Fiore, right, or if I use my Portier. So if I'm using my Portier, it's this itself. Farming sword, right? It's just like this. Itself. So do I have to have a big accrescimento? What's that accrescimento do? If I have a longer one, it allows the blade, whether it's forward or back, to get the spot that goes this way. So longer blade that you're carrying might mean you have to take a bigger step, which is a lot of times you might be like, oh man, I really shouldn't be here right now, right? So this is the point right there. I'm really glad you had the experience of having a long sword under duress, but also at the very end of having one that is, oh wow, this is a lot easier. Because it's your choice, right? Spot A, Unamani or Dunamani. It's not the one-handed sword or the two-handed sword, it's the sword. Which to me means that Fiore said, it could be this, it could be this, it could be held like this, it could be held like this. You see art where people are doing this. What else?
It allowed me to really analyze what my go-to responses are under pressure. Because
Right.
I kept going for the same thing. And
Right.
I was like, okay, I like to drive to their outside. Great.
Yeah. Excellent observation there. Yes.
Just like in a fencing bout, your responses are determined by the measure of your opponent. And it's a hell of a lot harder to seize it up while they're running at you, screaming and waving their arms around. You cannot tell how long their weapon is, how tall they are, how long their arms are. All of this is compressed into zero time at all.
Absolutely. Someone running at you like this right here is terrifying. This is the cover, this is the strike, this is, where's this coming from? I'm here, this can be up through this way, right? Why do you think we did this in the very beginning when we did the whole thing about the rotation of the sword at the very beginning?
To get the hits ready so that we could pull them back and then pull them forward so we can get a good defense.
Show you. So we can choose our target vector as we draw depending on what we're being presented.
Wonderful. What else?
Show you the angles that you can move with them.
Ah, how many turns of the sword are they? It's not just this. I could be here and go boom. And this right here, I might not cut through it, but going, oh, my arm's down. And I just work the top because everything else, long edge right there, just goes to the top. Who's got a sword? I'll throw you first. So who here had a moment where they drew first like this and they're waiting for the shot to come in? It's okay to say yes, it's okay. Now this is why, for this drill, that might be a problem. Because is that no different than going like this in a cover? So if he has it out already and I'm running and he's it's okay, you get it out, get it out, get it out. You're like this. So you, right before. Do the cover, right?
Oh.
So if he's like this right here and he's expecting this, who's to say I don't, whoa, whoa, right? So if I'm right here, this is a long distance, and if I drop, this has got weight. And again, there's falsos. It's not just this, but who's to say he holds high with this, and I go low, and then drop around. He goes low to cover this. Whoa. That's part of the thing here is, how do you know what's right? The answer is you don't. The answer is you can't. The answer is, the only thing you can do is follow the process like we saw on Thursday, which is find, step, turn, most along. And in that crossing, who here noticed, who was able to beat the sword to the side? Who here had the sword beat into their face? These are all things that can happen. Does Fiore say what crossing happens there? No. It's too fast. What about screaming? For those that participated in screaming, what was that like?
Like, actually turning on that aggression. I mean, it's a different level of intensity with like an aggressive screaming. It's interesting to turn on and turn back off sometimes. Be a training program at the same time.
It is, because you're ramping yourself. Who else? Who else?
Even if it wasn't necessarily causing like a super intense like fear response, it was definitely like extra stimulus. So it was distracting. So I like found myself like was like, why is this person screaming at me and oh I missed and I missed again and they're still screaming and I missed again and oh it like just was distracting more than anything.
We are in a space where you're raising your voice at me. Assertiveness is aggression. I mean, you think about the noble, the warrior caste. You think you talk, hey everybody. These aren't people walking around like this. These are people walking like this. Do you think that they're soft-spoken? And think about how loud you have to be. I mean, my mom's like Bertone. They're very loud. When they want their points, keep louder and louder and louder. It's very interesting. You're first.
I noticed there was more psychological effect on me when I was doing the screaming than I was being screamed at. But being screamed at, I definitely focus on the screamer, and if somebody is coming up to me on the side, I will not notice the tunnel vision.
Thank you. If you felt the experience of, oh, this right here, good. That's the point. This is part of this drill. We're not fencing here. This is just a street. This is a serious situation. The psychological, oh shit, like Marilyn said. What? Why are you yelling? Where's my shit? Right? Absolutely. Terrifying. I think you're next.
Yes. So it kind of reminds me of like what you're told to do if you're in bear country and you deal with a bear. If a bear's a ways off and it just notices you, talking at it normally, but with, hey, confidence, that's fine. But if they start walking towards you, you have to be more aggressive. You have to be more assertive and tell the bear to leave. And it can kind of work the same way when we're communicating with each other in this fight context. And that's what I noticed the yell kind of did to me. Was it, like Merlin said, it drove a lot of stimulus into what was right in front of me.
I made a mistake the first time I was doing assault, and I was like, I actually like had too much momentum, and I found that when I was screaming, like my eyes went red, and like I went into a barbarian rage, and I realized that I had less control than I thought I would have, being like, I'm gonna do this, and then this is gonna happen. But I realized oh, I need to maybe like reel it in, and figure out how I like, you know, how like, I don't know.
The thing about this, again, this is for stimuli concept, because the reality is, if I'm in the street and I have to do something like that, you think about this right here. What a guy would do is to focus, right? If you're in a siege and there's someone fighting on the stairs or something like this right here, they're focused on the person screaming at them. Are they seeing the arbalistman that's coming over the wall? Are they seeing the spearman that's coming along the side right there? No. So that's the other part that comes with it. Okay. Let's talk about the rat. What are some findings that people had about the rat?
But as one of the people in the circle, you told us to hunt. And so a few times I figured your friend said we're hunting and we can use that to distract the person. So one of the things that I did sometimes was at least engage, not going into the circle, but engage when it wasn't my time. Particularly if I could get them to focus on me when I knew the next person was on me.
Now,
one thing that's a huge difference for me, like when I was shifting my hips around, I'm used to being able to move my head with my hips to keep my vision steady. But in the mask, or maybe, you know, in a full suit of armor or something, I don't have that luxury. And I spun around real aggressively once, and I was like, I completely lost track of my assailant. I was like, oh no, I can't move my head, and now I've lost track of my eyes, and I'm just putting up my guard, and now I'm too late. So the equipment has informed like the way I shift my hips too aggressively.
in my pool that I ran, there was a point in time where two attackers came in and would have killed each other. So when people make the comment, it's like, everyone just run in at the same time. That's some pedestrian bullshit. I'm sorry. If you all have these long knives out, right? We're like, I'm just going to hit you. And I do this right here. This has got trajectory. This has got things that are happening right here. So it might be beneficial. It's not one after one. So to me, this makes a lot of sense. Why is Fiore saying, come 1, come 100? I'll take it in that regard, right? It's not like, oh, well, it's easier for me. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But if, say, I got Jack on the other side, we're hunting you. And we both run in right here, right? And you turn out of the way, and we hit each other. When you're so focused in on this person right here, you're zeroed in. I'm hunting you. Are you thinking about your buddy? Maybe. So again, to me, this kind of provides insight because I think half the time I'm like, man, blades are going like this at somebody? Where'd that go? Right? And if I'm on the side, whoop, hit me right on the side with a falso that they're trying to set it for a mandrito. So these are some of the other tactical mindset things that may be coming into this. It doesn't mean that people didn't bum rush people. Please don't misunderstand that. My point being is, if you all run at the same time, one of you might eat it. But here's the reality. Why does somebody with a 6-shooter not have 9 people rush him?
Someone's going to die.
I don't want to go. So that's really the big thing about this right here is, again, the hope of these 2 startup points is to prepare you for the range. So my hope is that people got the sensation of, oh, how does this, the stress of working against somebody. I hope you felt I hope you had the experience of this right here and pulling up because you're trying to, and you forget your form of coming here, of letting go long and punch out like we talked about on Thursday. So I go here, and then there's reality is, with a sharp scabbard, you just embedded this into your wood, and now you're cross body, and then you eat it twice. So this is why I don't care about speed, just fluidity. Okay? So if you experience this, or oh, I'm dead, or pink in, these are all things that can happen. If you were wondering, well, when can I draw? That was an excellent question. Did you ever find your answer?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard, right? You're like, when am I going to, oh, I don't even know, right? When can that happen? Okay. If you're working with a scabbard, you can walk up there for that. We have some that have that, we have some that don't. You don't necessarily need this. The purpose on this side right here is more about the concept of being able to deploy certain things. Okay? So just remember, in that context, what you're working with is important. So when we carry, A method I prefer is my dominant hand on the portion where I would grip anyway, and my non-dominant here. I give a slight tip off to the side. Why? Because if I fall forward, it does this instead of this. Okay? Almost strikes the thing, right? So, I don't want people walking around a range like this. I have seen that before. I know that may seem like, oh yeah, of course, no problem, Kurt. Sometimes we forget what we have and we start doing stupid shit like that. Okay? There's a reason why if you ever come down to our area or in this class, I may have said something to stop stabbing your foot. It's because eventually you might be handling something like this right here. Okay? This is not a toy. None of these things are toys. When you are done with what you're doing right here, so you get to practice your bicorno. Walk over, clean, 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 put it back into the scabbard, and then you can walk out. Entry point is right there where white hole's at. Right here, and right over here. This sword right here, by Mark, is the one that's going to be designated for this. These swords here, if you want to go on that side, it's fine. The purpose of them being over here is to be able to practice some of the scabbard stuff. So let's talk about the range options we're talking about here. So first and foremost, for this range, this side over here is where you get to practice that strike. Okay? Remember, control is a thing. You don't want to put a tip into the ground. How many times over here, that's a yellow card for control. Well, in real life, that's your sword broken in real life. Or it locks into the wood and you can't pull it out. Okay? Or it might be that you have to buy your guild another sword, right? So the point being here is, on the side, whatever this man says, you listen to him. It does not have to be fast. This is more about, can you hit your aim? Can you hit the aim? Don't cut the string. If you cut that high, well, you know what the cleaving descending cut, right? The whole point right here is to strike through paper to see your angle. And then after you've cut it, save the sword, walk up, see where you made your line. Because if it ends on a person's right side is your left. You find out really quick if you're actually where you're striking. Remember, both of my strike. We're not striking, we're not burgers. This is a noble law, right? We cut each other's heads off, like noble should. And again, reading much? Who knows? Okay? So on this side right here, there is no striking. Options that can happen. I'll be working on this side right here because we have the gambeson. Jack will be in the middle. Mark over there. And again, this is where I'll ask you, Jesse, at some point if they want to get some love in there too, hop in. That's where this works into. Options to play here, as far as work-wise go, is you can.
Yeah.
And you can feel the sensation of this. We are not going to strike on this side. In a second here, I didn't cut shit.
That's a sharp sword, dude.
I'm sure I broke a rib. So when Fiore says colpi, which are strikes and not tagliare, maybe it's just a, oh, I've struck the person, oh, and it did cut. Ah, two for the price of one. So I say this right here is I don't want people striking this one. I'd rather you have the sensation of what it feels like to go through, to feel the resistance, and then how it starts turning. Ooh. How naturally it happens to a person's body. There's a reason why it's hung this way. Mr. Mark, if I can borrow you. So if he puts this into my hip, I'm not going to go, yeah, whatever, bro. I'm going to turn. Which what does this do? It gives him a shoulder, which means he can now do other things to me. So where you place this, that's why I do this right here as far as range, is because a static target is not necessarily accurate. If I put that point right here, reach the shoulder, pull back, and fire. So again, This is where you can practice the whole. This is a lot to do already because you're reaching over a sharp object. The reality is I pull out and I stick them in the back. Practice first. Remember, look at this where it goes, right? Like we talked about on Thursday. Find 5 o'clock, turn, thrust. That in itself is a lot to consider. Remember, the swords for both these stations are right here. Once you have done, an RSO will be like, are you done? I am done. Walk over, place it, spritz, 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 wipe, wipe, wipe.
You can just wipe. You guys don't need to spray the can. The rags are already oily.
Okay.
At the end, we'll do the final polish on it before we put it away.
Thank you. We're not working with the Tommy, so you don't have to worry about the spray as much. So, in, close, back, out. Okay? Sure.
Can we just make a quick note about safety for wiping down the sword? The most injuries we have had when using sharp swords is from people cleaning them. So be careful about just like grabbing a rag, running along the sword, right? It's not a trainer. Yeah. So that is where we have actually had more people get hurt.
Thank you.
Cleaning the swords. So be careful, still be mindful. It's like if you're cleaning a gun, there's always a chance of misfire while you're handling it, right? This one can't be disassembled. It's always live.
Suppression.
Or, off the side, put them over the side. Ready.
You're not in this. Okay, thank you.
Yeah!
Seriously. So talking about experiences with this.
It was way harder to get what felt like a good penetration on it. I mean, I don't want 1.5 inches of narrow tip steel in me either, but that's about all I ever got out of what felt like a reasonably solid hit without powering it. And it was kind of surprising. I mean, you can see the condition of the gambeson. If you're not looking for the little pock marks, it looks okay. So it was surprising how different it was. That's what, 4 layers of fabric?
I think it's worth a few. Something like that, yeah.
Not a lot.
It's the one that you'll find up in the pro shop here.
Yeah.
Actually. So it's the same thing that Nicole made. That was on my training, Bob. I'm like, I haven't worn that in years. I'm like, yeah.
Thank you for the donation, Mark.
So what else? What else do we have with that? Excellent observation. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It really gives perspective combined with what we get outside. If you are charging at a person and going in for a thrust, that extra momentum really counts, especially if we are wearing that, because you want to run that person through.
So when I talk about these things before with other people, like when we some of the training I get to do, solo or whatnot. So the yellow jacket target over there is kind of like skin, right? And this gives us as context. So if we think about this, is Fiore's thrust here or is it here? Think about how easy he went to the yellow jacket. And if you did an overhand thrust, I went right to someone's hole there. Maybe experience of what it was like not to go in. Or when you came here, like, I'm just going to touch it. Whoa, what the? So Jack was talking at the very end. He was like, well, this is a little bit easier. One of the things that Jack was doing in that was putting his hips.
Yeah.
So this might be a reason why, again, and I'm not suggesting you do this in your fighting with each other. God, please. The point being is respect the mechanic. Oftentimes people will say, just put the thing right here. I don't think that's what Ansätze means in the German traditions. I think that right there is a concept to understand that once you get there and you push and turn. Who here got this to turn? When you put it in there? I know Lily did, yeah. What was that like?
It's really surprising the first time. I came in, I pressed, and then I was just kept on following it because I wasn't really expecting it, but at that point you can feel how much pressure there is. And I didn't quite do it because I didn't want to mess around too much, but the feeling of what that would be like to wind with that gave me a lot more appreciation for the effectiveness of just hitting them and then just turning it in their body and like the amount of destructive force that's going to bring.
It also might give you a concept about instabile and why you need to have what we call, in our area, but you probably all do as well, I call it knowing your senyo stance. So if I do this and I hit and I'm like, oh shit, right? Because how committed do you have to be for these things? For the practice of safe, swordplay, not much. But for ending somebody who may have a couple layers, and this is very minor in comparison, quite a lot. So that means this, and bracing into that, serves as much as about being able to strike to and through on somebody, but also making sure that you don't go and you keep your structure so you can take interactions. At least that's how I see it. One more thing I want to talk about here, and it has to deal about sharp swords, right? So when we talk about, when we say know what sword you have, that's what I say. Because essentially, if you hold up one of my wasters, you're like, this could be anything right here. Sword, sword, sword. So in your mind, it helps to have an idea of what you're wanting here in your hand. I say that because if I'm thinking about a good type 13, I don't want to half sword that. This is not the range purpose here now. I don't want to half sword here because I only have 2 points of contact because of how big this is. But up here, my whole fist is there. And it becomes no problem to insert, insert, insert. Because I have good surface area contact, because the blade is tapered. It's much like, in my opinion, projectiles, calibers. So while it may not be something right there, you think about how much half sorting Fiore has. He has the Nordschlag. He has a specialty tool for that, right? Which to me is like, oh wow, that makes sense, right? Why modify a rifle when you have a saw or small automatic weapon, right? I'm not going to convert that. Leave it for what it is. Let me get something that is specialized for that. But his armored section is just this. Narrow-tipped dagger. So I say that to you because, again, I'm not saying that people have to train with this, but this is just, again, building perspective. What do you fight with? When you're sparring with a blunt sword, what sword are you envisioning in your hand? If you're envisioning a Principe, which I own one, God, never freaking half sword that way. Because the tip, from the first inch right down there, is broad, as this thing is at its forte. You cut right through your hand. You're not half swording that. I mean, sure, if you want. You do you, right? I wouldn't. Right? The last tip might be there, but then you're doing this. That's not very effective, right? So again, what tool do you have in your hand? And what exactly are we talking about with strikes and thrusting? There's just things to think about. To make ourselves honest practitioners of this incredible art, this incredible tradition, looking at through the lens of various schools that allow us to experience it. So any last questions, comments? Remember, complaints go in the circular file. I think it's by the doors over there. Just kidding. Anything at all? Thank you all so much again. I really hope that you got some perspective in this. Again, I'm really happy. Final check, 10 fingers, 10 toes.
See? Yes, sir.
Are we feeling okay?
I think so.
Good. Okay. Because again, we went from some pretty intense, like, on-body stuff to on-body stuff. So thank you all for your practice. All right.
So as you can see with the footage there's quite a bit that people went through. And that was on the last day, and it was hot and miserable outside, but it was the best we could do with the amount of people that were out there, which was really exciting to see how this all worked together. A few points about this right here that I'd like to talk about is please understand this right here. If you were watching it and you came to the mentality of like, yeah, well, I would just, or well, no one would do this. Please understand, I'm not trying to replicate a fight. This is trying to get people to understand, to give a stimuli to really hone in on the skills that were done a few days earlier, which was how to draw the sword. There's many people that have never really practiced that before, and people outside of people that may have had some more traditional Japanese art styles. And, when it comes down to under duress, it is very hard to know what we're going to do. And that's a big part of what this training is supposed to be here is stress it, show first and foremost the confidence of what happens being able to find a target, which is a huge part about this, which is why it wasn't scabbarded in the first portion. But then also give them the other stimuli of having to produce under someone charging at them. Everyone out there performed marvelously. It was a really great training example right here. And I understand it does not give out everything on the table to do things. However, please keep in mind that if you're trying to give people a stimuli for the first time, it's got to be broken down to artificiality points, right? To get certain things to be taken out. The only thing I cared about in this right here, as far as those combat intensives, was that people, in the first one, find their target as fast as they possibly could using their footwork and everything else. It ties to the elephant, and how to move, keeping a good base, and then being able to deploy arms fast and to be able to fight out of that. So putting that one sword up there to strike whoever else you need to do off that. So that was the only thing we cared about with that. In other rats, we may have put in other things here, multiple cuts. We may have put a single one here, a single thrust. But the point right now is this is an introductory portion. This was the entry point. For the 21-foot rule right here, big point right there was being able to draw arms under various levels of stress. There were people that had said, when do I get to draw the sword? I know some people would tell me, maybe watch like, well, I would just draw off the bat if I saw a sword in the hands. And I would actually advise that if there wasn't a drill or an intent behind this. The whole point right here is being able to figure out how long it was at various levels can you produce and meet a blade that's coming in at you. Because at the last one, as you saw, the assault, someone's screaming at you, you have to be fast on that to draw very quickly because it is very fast. And screaming and hollering and all these other things here change up the mix-up of things when it comes down to fighting, okay? So, and then finally, if you saw the range there, it's putting some context of how hard to hit here and so on and so forth and other striking aspects. Please understand by no means and measures whatsoever do I think that hitting somebody with a gambeson or a sharp sword is a good idea. I do not think the gambeson is going to save you. I'm just saying it's not going to cut through you. I'm saying that, especially if you do some of the later variant ones with 31 layers and whatnot that I've done with other footage, the likelihood that sword cuts through the 31 layers is pretty slim in my experience. And also at the same time too, it might give us a greater understanding as to why Fiore calls them colpi, blows of the sword. I'd be very interested in thoughts about this right here because one of the things I've looked at, I haven't really cataloged it, but I've been looking at it, is that when we look at the various levels of like within the plays, sometimes he says striking blows and sometimes he says cut, cut. I think in many ways right here, there's a point right here where he, you know, he's making a commentary, and I wonder if he's saying striking blows is to the body, as in something that's covered because he's not expecting to cut, and it becomes a cut as if it becomes to like something that's more likely to cut, like the skin or the back of the head, and other places where he tells you to strike to. So that's the big part about this. By no means whatsoever is that the perfect analog to what we're doing here. It was more about giving people the confidence to employ some of the other stuff here, some of the plays of the sword against dagger, also being able to draw, and also see what it's like just to stab in something. Some people have never had that experience, and that's a good experience. It's a very valuable lesson for people to know. So giving people the opportunity to do that was the key. So big shout outs to everyone who helped me run this. Greg Mele, thank you so much. I appreciate your counsel and guidance in so many of the things I'm doing right here, especially with looking at, you know, how I'm developing my curriculum on this, right? It's really wonderful to be able to showcase and share this with you and your people up there, whether it be at WMAW or this seminar as well. Really, really grateful for the opportunity for that. So thank you again. I'm looking forward to much more conversation and collaboration when it comes down to understanding the art of arms, especially for my case in the area of Fiore. Big thanks to Mark Hoferica. Thank you so much. You housed me again. You drove me everywhere. You bought me lunches and dinners. I tried to reciprocate as back as possible, man. Always great to see you, work with you, and train with you. And I'll also say too, you are also, it is a joy to work with you as a range safety officer within the ranges. That also goes out to Jack Brinkman, who tower of a man, great guy, great armor fighter. Thank you so much for the assistance as well, because again, I think you ran your portions of everything very nicely with that. Jesse Kula, thank you so much. Man, it is always great to talk to you. Every time, and I always feel like we never have enough time to talk. And every time you offer insights and stuff like this, this is your area, right? So, sharing with me and those types of things right there, man, it is always a blast. And you are such a wonderful person to face against in so many different directions, and I appreciate that so very much. So there's so many others I'd like to thank on this right here, but for right now, I got to cut this video short. Please, thank you so much up there to everyone in the Chicago Swordplay Guild. It was really wonderful to work with you as always. I look forward to seeing you all here soon. If you ever come out this way, please give us a holler. Let us know. We'll be happy to host you, bring you in here, and to continue to work with you. For everyone else out there, please, again, like, subscribe, share with a friend out there. Let me know what your thoughts are on this training here. By no means whatsoever is this a closed door. Very curious on people's thoughts. Remember, a lot of this is experimental archaeology built upon some of my combatives training that I've had mixed in with the Marines, which I find there to be some really good lessons within that. So very curious about your thoughts, your experiences, and everything else, and what you thought about everything else and just in general. So with that being the case here, until you see you, please stay safe out there. Train well and fight on. I'll see you all soon.